You're listening to Intent Topics, a podcast about all things growth. I'm your host, Logan Kelly. Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning into Intent Topics today. Today, I have a special guest, Leahanne Hobson from Alinea Partners. Leahanne, thank you for joining us today.
Hey, thank you, Logan. Great to be here from Vienna.
Vienna, yes, it's exciting. This is like international guest today. So, Leahanne, tell us a little bit about what you're working on right now.
Yeah, sure. We are a global B2B secret shopping agency. So we are working on what we do all day, every day, and that is secret shopping in the IT and telecommunications world. We've just crossed over and have done over 700 globally in the last couple of years. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So this is an exciting one. I think you've done a lot of great work. There's a lot of great case studies and blog articles on your website. So, I just read a Bloomberg article where a president of a large hotel organization said he believes business travel will go back to what it was in 2 to 3 years, and he sounded optimistic, which is crazy. So we've all made adjustments to our businesses to navigate this short term. But if we're looking at even a year or 2 or 3, that's going to fundamentally change how a lot of IT, telecom, tech companies sell. With that said, alignment from marketing all the way through to sales and everything that supports it is not just going to change. It's going to become so much more important. So with what I just said, it's nothing new, but understanding how to execute and understanding an idea at a conceptual level are two totally different things. So I'd love to get a little bit more weeds in the conversation for you or with you here. I obviously see a lot of misses when it comes to digital presence and sales process. So talk to me about some of the steps that leaders should be taking to, quote, get their house in order.
Yeah, sure. I think what we're seeing is a natural tendency to go out and do a lot of demand generation in order to compensate maybe for missed pipeline opportunities that have paused or closed down, or industries that have just closed. I mean, we do a lot of work with Motorola Solutions, for example, and they provide walkie-talkies for events. So all of their partners globally were out immediately looking for other lines of business, be it other industries or other types of clients, just as an example. Where other companies are doing really well, like Microsoft, who we also work with, are software and using software remotely, they're doing quite well. But regardless, the natural tendency that we're hearing, and we talk to about 100 different companies a year, is that everybody wants to spend a lot of money on demand gen, which that's a good thing. You want to build the funnel and you want to close that business. But what we're really cautious about is the companies that want to do that without performing any kind of a health check. So, for example, a good number of those companies, 700 companies that we've assessed, do not have any case studies on their websites of any way, shape, or form. And we know that today's pre-COVID-19, during COVID-19, and post-COVID-19, we will ask people in the industry, our friends, our family, people we trust, who did you buy your software package from? And that's who we pay attention to. And TripAdvisor, since that's come about and been so popular, everyone wants to know what other people think before they purchase a service or a product. Yet we're hiding a light on things like case studies. Other areas that happen much too often are contacts. So I go to your website, my buyer starts to look around, they're interested, maybe they have a question, chat doesn't work. Or they send something through to email or website form, never get an answer. Now, before the pandemic, we would have conversations with companies about, you should make sure that your processes work, that they're staffed, et cetera, and make sure that if you have a communication possibility to a company, you need to make sure that it works. During the pandemic, a lot of these customer service or, frontline sales have gone remote. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be able to reach you. So even if your marketing department is now sitting at home, you need to answer your emails. And you can't think about spending a lot of money on demand generation unless those simple things work, or else you're not going to get the opportunity you've just generated and you'll waste your money.
I love that. So I love that, it's actionable. It's so simple.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also, it's much more fun to talk about, like, what's the new copy? What's the new strategy? Who could we target? As opposed to, like, let's make sure that what we already have is executed correctly and in a way that is not missing opportunities. So it sounds like, one of the first steps that we should be taking here is really make sure that our sort of defense or what's already on our website is operating right before we go spend more money.
Exactly. Operating right is one level. Content is right. Is it appealing to the right persona? So, for example, if you tell me that you're looking to market to hotels, just to use your story from the beginning, then you shouldn't have a website that never mentions hotels or concierge services or any of the other language of hotels, and it shouldn't be as though you're speaking to a vanilla small and medium or large size company, right, which many people do. You should actually make sure that your website is acting as part of your sales force. And just as your salesperson would pick up the phone and immediately get rapport and understand what type of a persona is on the other end of the phone, your website should be able to do that as well.
So that's interesting. I think that leads us into kind of the persona, understanding the persona one, which is very important. I think that goes without saying. And a lot of companies get it right, but a lot get it really, very wrong. And even with the best, like, targeting data, most sophisticated marketing automation, marketing technology, that can really cause things to fall flat. So, where are you seeing some of the biggest misses from a understanding your persona, translating that into your presence, and do you have some examples that might be companies that are doing it right that you've seen, that are sort of standard bearers for right now?
Yes, and yes again. I can tell you from our research, what we find is that in the IT world, many companies still display information on their website and market themselves on their website toward an IT buyer. And what we've realized over the last couple of years is that the IT or manager or the CIO is not the only purchaser in many of these purchasing scenarios. So you're going to get a CEO involved, you're going to see a CFO involved, maybe marketing's involved or other decision makers within the company. Or in many cases, the CIO has become much more business savvy than they were 10, 15 years ago. So if you're simply selling, let's say, Azure, mention one of our clients, as Azure, then you are more likely than not just selling to somebody who is technical in nature and knows what Azure is, versus someone who is thinking about the business outcome and would much more be interested in having you come and talk about security. Oh yeah, by the way, it's Azure. And what we see on a lot of websites is that, they're leading with cloud. We're the cloud company, or, we sell Azure. And today that's not enough of a differentiator, one, because everybody says that. And two, it's clearly not showing that they're adaptable and able to have a C-level conversation from what's on their websites. Who's doing it well? Putting GoDaddy does it well in the space that they're in. A company in the UK called Wirehive does it very well to partners as well as end users. They're interesting because they were a marketing agency that added Azure and then morphed into a partner for many other companies, and they do really good business analytics and such, very specific to the UK.
So really making sure that the content on the website and what is being asked of that person or being sort of presented to that person is not necessarily for the IT role, but really for all the decision makers, all the stakeholders who might be needing to get some information before they say yes or allow something to progress.
Exactly.
Which in a lot of cases is not necessarily the IT person, right? It is the the C-level. Yeah, interesting. So, one of the things that when we're kind of going through reading some of the work that you and your team have done, you had mentioned, or your team had mentioned, these moments of truth that there's so many assumptions that get made, just building anything, that you say an outsider is really who can see these moments of truth. What does that mean? And maybe how at a high level, what are some things that businesses might be able to look at on their own digital presence that might be some of these moments of truth that we're all missing?
Sure. Just to clarify, our secret shopping goes beyond the website. We are unique in that we also look at the sales process and the buying process, the onboarding, getting started, and customer service. But regarding that website piece, there are, I think what Christian from my team, who probably mentioned, is, a moment of truth is, when we decide to either stay on your website or go. And it could be one thing that happens, or it could be, 2 or 3 of these things happen and then it's enough and we leave. So an example could be a broken website. We had a buyer shopping a website a couple weeks ago, and they had a great call to action. If you want more information about this, in a 30-minute free consultation, contact us here. And my buyer was like, oh yeah, I'll take that, and clicked on, and it went to a broken link.
No.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Horrible, because, my buyer will be persistent. They will try other ways to reach that company, but normal buyers don't. My crazy buyers. So that's one thing. Another thing, a lot of companies haven't put HTTPS on their website, so it's not secure, which means last week a buyer went to a website and clicked on, and it said, have you seen this lately?
Yeah.
Please be aware the website you're about to go to is non-protected. Now, does that make you feel creepy?
Yeah, like continue at your own risk. This could ruin your computer and steal all your information. Yeah.
Exactly.
Scary.
So one, you're not going to do it just because you don't want to risk that. But two, the brand that you had in your mind that you were going to go to their website, you're starting to think, wow, creepy thoughts. And that's not how you want to start a sales engagement.
Right. Absolutely.
That's a simple thing. And, you can buy it from your provider, and I don't know, I think it costs €50 or something like that.
Yeah. It's simple.
Costs of doing business.
Interesting. So this is great. Well, I think these are, there's a few really good nuggets in here. Is there anything you'd like to leave the listeners with before we wrap this up?
Just staying with the theme, I think generating demand, generating it digitally. I'm a big supporter of that. But people usually go to the dentist a couple times a year in order to prevent cavities. So,
Yep.
Do that business due diligence and check to make sure everything works. And then you can invest and do the right things with companies like yourself, and grow, so in that, assess that everything's in order and then grow.
Bam. I love it. Well, Leahanne, thank you for joining us. We hope to have you back. Everybody, this is Intent Topics. Thank you for stopping by. Please feel free to give us a 5-star review on whatever podcast app you listen on, and we will see you next time.